Today on Panther TV, a Plymouth South teacher opens up about her immigration experience.
A class project turns into a potential life-changing venture for a recent graduate.
And the Secretary of Education visits Plymouth South. These stories and more coming to you live today on Panther TV.
Good morning, Plymouth South. Thanks for joining us for this live edition of Panther TV. I'm Zoe Woja.
And I'm Logan Kavicki. A longtime Plymouth South science teacher has an important story she wants to share with students.
Here's Gavin Carrara with Mrs. Den and her immigration story.
Many of you may know Mrs. Den, a biomed and science teacher here at Plymouth South, but what many of you may not know is her story about coming to America. She recently reached out to us wanting to share. As a young child in the 70s, Miss Den found herself on the move every few years.
When I was little, my parents left my home, country of Taiwan when I was 3 to go work in Singapore. So then they were there from the ages of me being 3 to 6. And then when I was 6, we moved to Iran, where my dad had a job with Iran Air. And right around that time was when I was like around 9 is when they had the American hostage crisis. And so my family then had to leave Iran, where I was going to an American school.
The primary language in Taiwan is Mandarin Chinese, which was the language being used in schools.
I didn't know any Chinese. They plopped me down in a second grade classroom, and they expected me to be able to read it, write it, etc., and I knew nothing.
With the schooling not working out, Mrs. Den's parents decided to make another move.
My dad had a friend who was working in Miami at that time, and he got my dad kind of like a work visa where he could work in Miami. So we went there, we packed up our stuff, and then we, with the family of 6, went to Miami on a visitor's visa for a month with basically 2 large suitcases.
That month went by quickly, and when that visa expires, Mrs. Den's family stayed. Her family was one of many back then, she says, coming here to pursue the American dream.
What I guess in the old days would be called a dreamer, where your parents kind of brought you, the child, in with them to pursue the American dream. And yes, we didn't go through the necessarily channels to get there. But they weren't breaking the law just for breaking the law and being criminals at it. They were breaking the laws because they found that whatever they had, their situation was so bad that they wanted to improve the lives of their kids. I want to put kind of like a personal feel to it, saying that not all the people who have come here illegally are criminals. And they are pretty much, at least in my case, looking for a better life.
Miss Den wants to share this story because she knows there are many kids in our country now who are feeling the same way.
I don't think the kids can have that conversation with somebody that says, oh, you know how I feel, because a lot of us don't have that feeling. And I think that's one of the main reasons that I wanted to be out there is I am like them. I know both sides of the coin.
As someone who came into the U.S. without proper documentation, Mrs. Den hopes people won't be quick to judge and label everyone who has done this as criminals.
And I want them to know that we're all the same. Our parents all have the same thoughts. We all want our kids to survive and thrive. And a lot of them need that understanding that, just because they don't speak that language or they're not understanding you right now, it's not that they're lazy or that they're dumb. It's they just don't have the tools right now, and they need to get there.
Miss Den wants any student to know that if they're going through a similar situation, her door is always open. Reporting live for Panther TV, I'm Gavin Carrara.
Earlier this spring, your very own Panthers had the unique opportunity to engage directly with Massachusetts Secretary of Education, Dr. Patrick Tutwiler. During his visit to the Plymouth Public Schools, Dr. Tutwiler stopped by to see our new studio and answer some questions. First, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into your current position here?
Sure. Well, let's start with what I currently do. I am the Secretary of Education, which most people have no idea what the Secretary of Education does, but think of me as being the advisor to the governor on all things related to education from birth through college. I'm in my third year in this role, and I was previously a superintendent. Many years ago, almost 25 years ago, I decided to become an educator. The real spark for that is due to a book that I stumbled upon that was about young people attending school in Newark, New Jersey. They were people that looked like me and weren't having a good educational experience, and I felt like that was my calling. I can help and be part of the solution so that not only people who look like me, but everyone has a good educational experience, because it is the bedrock to living the life that you want to live.
We were honored to receive a $200,000 capital skills grant to update our studio this year. So can you explain how programs like this provide better educational opportunities for Massachusetts students?
Yeah, I think this really lives in the stories that I just learned about all of you, right? Students have interests and passions, and they're tied to various vocations, whether it's broadcasting or electrical or plumbing or advanced manufacturing. The state wants to be a partner with high schools and with school districts in making sure that schools have the equipment to provide those incredible learning experiences.
Where do you see the future of education in Massachusetts heading, and what are some of the initiatives you guys are working on?
I think the future is bright for education in Massachusetts, right? Remember that this is the birthplace of the first school, the first public library. Our calling card is education. We've been number one on a number of metrics across the country for a number of years. We certainly took a hit due to the pandemic. Every school district and every state did. But we're making really positive gains toward making sure we get back to where we were, and more importantly, beyond. And there's a few places where we've dropped an anchor to make sure of that. One is making sure that students' mental health and behavioral health needs are being met. We feel like that's really important. We've created a scenario where there's universal free breakfast, free lunch in every public school in Massachusetts. And then as it relates to learning, we really think it's important that every student is reading on grade level by grade 3. And our plan, we've already begun this work and really look forward to the outcomes from it. And the last one I'll just mention relates to this incredible space where we are right now, and that's reimagining high school. And that's everything that I just mentioned before about creating the opportunities, the experiences that we know you all want that connect to where you want to go later when you leave high school.
Here at Plymouth South, many students are lucky to have this opportunity to participate in co-op during their senior year.
And for some, this leading straight to a full-time job right after graduation.
Many students plan to go to college after high school, but today we get to talk to a few students who are already booked and busy after graduation, headed straight to work. Plymouth South High School offers various tech programs from cosmetology to medical assisting, preparing students for the various jobs they can pursue.
I'm in electrical, and we have like code stuff, so like the knowledge of it, and then we work with our hands in the shop and do different things, which kind of prepare you so you do all different aspects of it.
I'm in plumbing, so we do a lot of fundamentals in the shop, and then we also do a lot of code review, so we get some of the education out of the way and get a jump start towards our license.
Along with learning the skills of their trade, some students have had the chance to go on co-op during their senior year, and this opportunity has led to jobs sending them to the workforce right after graduation.
After we went through exploratory, I knew that college wasn't for me. I didn't really like school that much, and I like to do hands-on work.
I realized when I was just about to enter my senior year, I pretty much was on the fence of going to college for baseball or not, and I ended up getting a co-op job with JVS Electric, and I enjoyed that and kind of stuck with that.
I was on the fence up until halfway through my junior year, and then I started co-op, and that pretty much made the decision for me.
These students know that not every school has technical studies programs to help students start their careers immediately upon graduation, and it's something students here are grateful for.
I feel lucky to have the opportunity to have the option to go to college or the workforce, because not everybody gets the opportunity. Some people can only go to college or don't it's hard for them to get jobs outside of if they're not in a tech. So it just gives us an easier route to prepare us.
Whether you choose to go to college or from a tech to a trade, Plymouth South High School has it all. Reporting live for Panther TV, I'm Ava Davy-Bissett.
We've all heard of the games Cards Against Humanity and Exploding Kittens.
Soon there's going to be another game on the shelves of many stores, and it's created by a Plymouth South graduate. Here's Sarah Cicchetti with the story.
If you're feeling bored and need something to keep you entertained, this new card game is definitely the solution. It isn't your typical card game, however, as it all centers around a new technology. In the fall of his freshman year at Northeastern, Plymouth South 2024 graduate Jacob Ohlsen was given a life-changing assignment.
This is for my Foundations of Game Design class. It's like basically Games 101, the first class you go into if you want to be a game design major. And our professor, she loved it. Celia Pierce is her name. And she was like, this game needs to be published.
Jacob and his classmate created a card game that uses artificial intelligence technology.
The game is called Botbuster, and the goal of the game is simple. It's to act like AI in order to fool your friends. So what that means is we have an AI, human players, and then also a website that you can put responses into. So we have our AI named RON. It stands for Response-Oriented Neural Network. We programmed this, we kind of trained it, but it's based off the API of ChatGPT. So how the game goes is you start by picking a prompt card and a modifier card and distributing role cards. If you get a human role card, the goal for you is to try and act like AI to fool the judge. But if you get a bot card, the goal for you is to write down the response and basically just have a poker face for the botbuster or the judge. And after that, the judge just try and chooses which response was written by AI. If they guess correctly, they get the prompt card or like a point. And if they guess incorrectly and you fool the botbuster, then the person who fooled the judge gets the prompt card.
With the suggestion of their professor, Jacob and his friend reached out to a publisher, and there was immediate interest. Right now, they are raising money to get the game printed and hopefully distributed to big box stores around the country.
So we're launching on Kickstarter in sometime, probably when this releases. We're getting we're trying to reach a goal of around like $7,000 on Kickstarter. If that happens, we distribute these cards, these games to the people who bought it on Kickstarter. And then our publisher, who published Cards Against Humanity, Exploding Kittens, a couple others, like a YouTuber called The Odd Ones Out, partnered with them, David Dobrik also. They're gonna print, distribute, and manufacture it, and hopefully try and get into Target and Walmart by pitching the game to them for us.
While card games have been around forever, the AI piece of Botbuster makes it unique. Jacob and his friend have filed for a patent on using AI in games and hope that this is only their first time using AI to fit in with modern society's digital world.
Which was interesting because when you think of a card game, you don't really think of anything technology related, but we also added like a website that's on your phone that you play with, so that adds kind of another dynamic to that.
Keep an eye out for Botbuster on the shelves of your local retail stores in the near future. We wish Jacob good luck with this card game and hope he has a very successful future. Reporting for Panther TV, I'm Sarah Cicchetti.
We often hear about going abroad in college, but recently 2 Plymouth South juniors had the chance to go abroad to England for their favorite sport, soccer. Here's more on their experience.
I2I Soccer Academy is a pro-level soccer development program associated with universities all over England. The academy gives students the chance to explore England whilst gaining technical training daily. Plymouth South juniors Joe Rosania and Joe Cantalopoulos were approached with this opportunity and took it on full force.
I was looking through Instagram and I saw a post for an ID clinic, and I ended up signing up for it. And throughout the ID clinic, they showed interest in me, and they wanted me to come out for a 9-day camp in England to look at like schools and stuff.
Joe Cantalopoulos, he gave this opportunity to me and presented it to me, and was like, I think you should do this with me. It's a good opportunity to go abroad and to see what it's like.
The trip includes 8 full days of training, touring, and finding passion within English soccer academies. From the moment they landed, they were introduced to staff and coaches and given their daily itineraries. Training started right upon arrival.
So when we landed, it was straight to training. We trained every day. We went to go see the cities. We met all ex-professional coaches that played soccer. We had a game. We explored Leeds, London, Newcastle, and we went to go see Sunderland versus Preston and West Brom versus Hull City, and the competitiveness there was insane.
Leeds, England resides about 3,200 miles from Plymouth, Massachusetts. Both boys being just 16, being so far away from home seems scary at first. But they both say being with each other and so many other kids in their same boat made them feel like family.
The coaches were really nice, really understanding. They helped you a lot. The people that came were also very nice and helpful. So it wasn't that hard. It was a bit different, but...
As the trip narrowed, the boys reflected, weighing down on what they had learned and how much they truly appreciated the experience.
I was curious what it's like because I know the world's bigger than the U.S. There's a lot of universities that I didn't know, and there's a lot of different opportunities that I didn't know, and when I went over there, I was given these opportunities, and I was so grateful because it opens up my view. So I realized that you can get your bachelor's degree in 3 years instead of 4 years. There's a lot more degrees, and there's a lot more opportunities there.
This opportunity for both Joes was 1 in a million. We asked them what advice they would give students if they were presented with an experience like theirs.
Take your opportunities when you get them, and it's just good experience for you, and you never know if you might like it.
That they should definitely take it. It's something I felt like it was a once-in-a-lifetime moment, going abroad, going to the UK, exploring different cultures. It's something that at the end of the camp, I was telling other coaches how grateful I was that they gave this to me, and I just think that everyone should do it if they get the opportunity.
Experiences and opportunities like these don't come very often, so as said by both Joes, take them as they come, even if they seem scary at first. That's all for sports. Zoe, back to you.
Thanks, Logan. Being inclusive is an important part of Plymouth South community, and now we have a new club here to promote that. Sammy McCullough joins us live with more.
Students and staff here at Plymouth South have come together to form a new club called Allies for Equity, promoting diversity and bringing together our community. Plymouth South community is working to celebrate diversity within our school, creating projects and posters around the school highlighting and bringing together the many cultures that make up our community.
So one of the big projects that we're doing right now is having posters created that recognize different heritages and identities that people in the school and in the broader community might have. So for instance, we're having a poster made for Greek heritage or Haitian American heritage, obviously Black History Month, Women's History Month, those types of things.
To be in this club, you have to be nominated by a teacher as someone who they feel is willing to go above and beyond to make sure that all students feel welcome and included at our school.
So we had teachers nominate students that they felt really did a good job of including other students in the building and kind of fostering a sense of belonging within classrooms. They are just really good representatives of what the school needs and different ways to help foster this sense of belonging.
The club started with selected students. All students are welcome and encouraged to get involved if building new relationships and learning about other cultures is something they're passionate about.
Definitely keeping an open mind is a good thing. If you're really interested and want to, you have an open mind, you want to foster belonging in the school, reach out to myself, Ms. Shaver, or even Mrs. Fry.
For more information, you can stop by room 307, where Allies for Equity meets every other Monday. Reporting live for Panther TV, I'm Sammy McCullough.
We all know Kimmarie from the cafeteria, but it's not just high school students that she has a connection with. She's developed a special bond with some of our younger Panthers as well.
Here's Abby Marr live with the story.
Whether you're a teacher or a preschooler here at Plymouth South, we all get our lunch from the same place, the cafeteria. But our preschoolers have found something more than just food. They've made a special friend. Kimmarie Lopes has been a fixture in the Plymouth South cafeteria as the manager since this building opened in 2017. She's known for preparing breakfasts and lunches we eat, but also some special treats for the children in the Panthers Cup House.
The little ones come in and we set up bags every morning for their breakfast bags, and we put a variety of different fruits, breakfast arrangements, and we write all their names on there. It's really my most favorite part of the day is because the little ones come in and they come in with their great big beautiful smiles and their good mornings, and it's a wonderful way to start their day.
It's no wonder the kids are excited to see Kimmarie. Not only does she provide them with food, but they also get some special treats on Fridays.
They get their breakfast bags, and they've had a wonderful week. We get to go into our little treasure chest, and they get to pick out a toy.
While the special treasures are fun, for Kimmarie, nutrition is most important, which is why she puts so much care into what she does.
I love nutrition, and I really feel that it makes a difference for a child's total development. It helps them cognitively. You don't ever know what's going on behind the scenes. Teach them at a young age to make great choices is really important. It sets them up for a lifetime of success.
There's no one in the school that feels left out, as Kimmarie takes care of anyone who comes through her line.
We have some children that have special allergies or medical necessities to, some of the foods, so we try and accommodate everyone, not just the little ones, everybody. And if anybody out there has a special need, just come on down and see me, and we'll be more than happy to put something in place for you as well.
We asked a few students what their favorite things about Kimmarie are.
Kimmarie gives me yummy snack. She gives me food.
Every morning, I run into the cafeteria because Kimmarie makes me special organic treats that she keeps in the freezer. Sweet potato bite that I'm really, really thankful for.
Thank you, Kimmarie.
Thank you to Kimmarie for keeping our students happy and healthy and excited for what's next. Reporting live for Panther TV, I'm Abby Marr.
Have you ever considered writing and producing your own play?
Well, one former Plymouth South English teacher did just that. Here's Angel Chummick with the story.
At Plymouth South, the spotlight isn't just on the students performing, but also on the legacy of a former teacher. This year's one-act play, The Miracle Year, had a unique twist. It was written by a teacher who once inspired these very students in the classroom. This February, an exciting new chapter unfolded for Plymouth South's Theater Guild as students took the stage in a play written by former PSHS English teacher Kathleen Evans.
Mr. Luciana actually kind of came up with the concept. We were trying to think of a play where you just don't like the protagonist, and so we were thinking of are there any characters who are famously really or likable, or even just somebody that people think highly of. And it made me think of this book called The Other Einstein, which is about Mileva and Albert's relationship. And I was like, he's kind of that type of person who gets all the credit and is well known in history. And Mileva is this really underrepresented character. So I looked to see if there was a play about it, and there wasn't. So we figured we'd try to write one.
Plymouth South has had some amazing plays in the past, but this original one-act performance has turned some heads and eyes with its amazing script and historical storyline.
I think that the storyline is really amazing, and I think it's it's very much a women empowerment piece, so I think it's really refreshing. But I also think the rehearsals have been going pretty good. We like to be very silly during rehearsals, but we get it done, so I think it's really fun.
All right, so The Miracle Year is about Albert Einstein's wife, Mileva, his first wife, and she's just this really cool scientist, theoretical physicist who is involved in a lot of his work and doesn't really get mentioned in history. And so the play goes through their relationship and some of the big things that they worked on together, and kind of gives her a second shot at telling her story.
The play was previewed at Plymouth South before being performed at this year's theater festival at Somerville High School, where theater-loving students from the area got to showcase their talent and passion for the performing arts while presenting their plays and attending workshops. Here, young actors and directors have the opportunity to present their plays and get adjudicated, as well as participate in many acting-inspired workshops. One thing that received high ratings for the Plymouth South actors was the ability to make the story and characters their own.
I think it's good because you get to set the standard for what the character should be or could be, and so I think it's really interesting to see because you have really nothing to go off of, so it's really nice to just be able to make it your own.
So we had talked about last spring what we were looking for, and kind of the key word was cheap. You always want to try to make, especially a winter play, a budget play, and so we were thinking about what's a cheap option, and then we talked about the idea behind it, and writing one was really cool and also free. So it took this summer to write, but we thought about it in the spring a lot.
Now that the final curtain has fallen for us seniors, it's clear that this production has not only showcased the creativity of the next generation, but also honored the lasting impact of an educator who had her original work shown and appreciated. Reporting for Panther TV, I'm Angel Chummick.
Our teachers seem to love their jobs, but if they weren't here, where would they be?
Zoe figured out what they would be doing.
Originally wanted to be a vet, but I just don't like blood, so I think I'd be a pretty good therapist.
I think I would open a recruiting website that gives high school kids a realistic version of who they are and where they fit in college sports, and let them know that not everybody's D1 and they might have spent a little bit too much money on the AAU train.
I would still be a teacher, but I definitely would be at Hogwarts. I mean, Ron and Hermione and Harry, if they don't know English, they're gonna read the wrong spells.
Be a nurse or a doctor. My best friend is a nurse, and I just love listening to all of her stories and listening to how she gets to interact with patients and their family.
If I wasn't a teacher, I think I'd be an old school garbage man, because there's a physical part of the job. You get to ride on the side of the truck and you get to keep the streets clean, which I think is awesome.
I probably would have decided to go the social media influencer route. Seems pretty mindless. Yeah.
If I wasn't a teacher, I would be a police officer.
If I hadn't gotten into teaching, I probably would have ended up going into one of the armed services, just because school wasn't exactly easy for me, and just probably would have been my path.
If I were to do another career other than teaching, I think I would get into landscape design or landscape architecture.
I would like to be a high-end event planner. If I wasn't a teacher, I probably would be something in the event coordinating business, like wedding planning or party planning, or interior design.
You know, I hope I'm not stealing Mr. Woodard's thunder here, but I think being a weatherman would be a really fun gig. You know, the good hours, you get to give some people some good news. Maybe you're wrong a lot of the time, but I can deal with that.
If I was not a teacher, I would be a curator at a museum. I think it'd be so fun to look at all of the pieces that come in and decide what the exhibits are going to be. I would also love to just be a tour guide at a museum.
I would be a meteorologist, because I really enjoy studying the weather and telling everybody what's going to happen.
One of two things. I think either A, maybe I would have pursued some college coaching experience if I wasn't in the classroom as a high school teacher, or I also was always intrigued by architecture. I love architecture now, and looking at buildings and old buildings and all that stuff. Maybe I would have pursued that with the math and the creative side.
If I wasn't working in education, I would be delivering babies.
Did you expect those answers?
For me, personally, I was surprised by many of the unknown interests from our teachers. Now I feel like I've learned something.
Me too. Well, that's all the time we have for today.
Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.